Alright. I was a little bit worried I was going live on the wrong channel. But it doesn't appear that I am. Hey, Anthony. Glad to see you in chat. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. I really love this soundtrack. That was weird. Huh. Alright. I hope everything is sounding good over the series of tubes and whatnot. Alright, Miranda's here, Kathy's here, Cole's here, Logan, Anthony, JD. Are we we're not starting with a horror game. Is that what it says on... What? Welcome, welcome everybody. Hey everybody. What are you confused about? To be honest, I'm a little confused as well. Okay. Okay, yeah. No horror games. Horror games were last week. They might come back again. Honestly, I don't know. I like playing horror games in October. But, we were talking about casual games, of course, and Roberg's use of queer failing in video games. And the first game that came to my mind was Yoku's Island Express. This is a game that I have written about in the past concerning both of those things. Yeah, the music in this is just phenomenal. In fact, when I used to stream it, I would just start the stream 10 minutes early and play this music for basically 10 minutes. If you don't know it, never fear. I'll explain it. It's quite simple. It's really a beautiful game, and I think it exemplifies a lot of the things that we've been talking about in our previous classes and through the readings, the annotations that we've done on the readings this week. So okay, yeah, we'll play this for a little while. Then we're gonna go into Zoom, and I really want to just discuss more of the readings that we've done over the past week, and sort of dig into some of your comments that you've left. I think it's been a really fruitful week for that, for idea generation and whatnot. So let's go ahead and get into this nonsense. Let's start a new game. Yoku's Island Express. So in this, you play as Yoku, who is a tiny little dung beetle, as we can see here, and we're on the way to our new island home to become the postmaster. And there's our new island home. The music like puts me in such a good mood. It's just so chill. All right. Oh yeah, I should mention I'm playing on the Switch. So we can move left and right. We can move Yoku left and right, and I guess by extension his ball. Can't really, I don't know if you can make out much, but it's sort of, it looks sort of like a cue ball. He is a dung beetle, but we're not rolling around dung. Not yet, anyway. An important thing is that I cannot jump. I can't do much, but move left and right. I can pull up my map, and of course I can pull up this little inventory that I have. But I cannot jump. Eventually I'll get a little horn that I can toot that can sort of do other things. Of course I can speak too. You're the new postmaster they sent to relieve me, eh? Posterdactyl. I love that pun. Glad you showed up. Something big is going down around here, and I don't feel like sticking around. Before I leave, you've got your first assignment right here, my old postal badge. Deliver it to Nim, the translator, in the village. The Island Express is your duty now, so make sure to deliver the badge to Nim, or you'll be in trouble. That's it for me. Farewell. Take care. Good luck. And take care of the Island Express instead. Something like that. Okay. So here is sort of our first task, right? We got to deliver this way across all those scary-looking clouds, the fog of war, to Nim in the village. Some delicious little fruit. All right, and here comes basically the main part of our mechanics. Pinball, right? Which I can maneuver through with my triggers. So, I can move left and right, and I can't jump, but instead I have to rely on my pinball paddles, or rather the pinball paddles that I find dispersed throughout the world, to traverse all of the island terrain here. It doesn't get bigger, Shuttercat. No, it's not like Katamari. I will eventually sort of, I think, at least get to decorate it or color it in different ways. There's sort of ways to do that, but you know, and they do sort of have a bit of significance in the gameplay. Not that they change sort of the mechanics or anyway, but sort of like keys. Like you make it purple, and you to enter a particular area that somebody is guarding that likes the color purple or something like that. It's honestly been a little while since I've played this, so I'm a little bit rusty on exactly how it all unfolds, but we'll get there. Where do you think you're going, Postmaster? This is my part. No, I'm not going to do voices. If you want to cross, you have to pay the toll. Troll toll. See what I want grows high, cliffs above. Juicy cove mushrooms. My mouth waters just thinking about them. Anyway, give me one, and I'll let you cross the pond. Okay, so... okay, so we can already sort of see how, the map is sort of filling out, and we are... essentially, we're dealing with a Metroidvania-style exploration/platforming game, right? But its main contribution is that it incorporates these pinball mechanics. That's how you get around. There's not really no getting around in the game without using these pinballs. And we'll see that is both interesting and sometimes incredibly obnoxious. Oof. What strikes me so much about this game, well, lots of things, but particularly, I think I know that it's gone on sale on the Switch for as low as $5. I know it's on Steam as well, and I bet it's regularly at least that cheap, if not cheaper. But it's a great game, so it deserves your hard-earned money. Villa Gorilla is the development house that put it out. It's published by Team 17. I can't remember what year it came out. It's a few years old. Okay. So essentially, you sort of see the gist of how you get around, right? And a like most Metroidvanias, it's all about exploring and uncovering things and using those things to, you know, basically be granted access to more and more things. All right, here is my whistle. I get it pretty early. You got the noisemaker. It's not a post horn, but it'll do. This poor little horn is probably overused, but it is pretty fun to just walk around and toot. A little toot. I like to come up here looking for mushrooms. Hey, I'm looking for mushrooms. You've got to be careful. Poison toadstools like to grow near the cove mushrooms. A single bite is enough to put someone's lights out for days. If you still want to grab some shrooms, I recommend the cliffs on the east side. That's just where the juiciest grow. I was not prepared for the party horn sound. Oh, wait. There we go. Okay, sorry. That will probably get annoying. I know I've annoyed my girlfriend before playing this game. Because, you know, sometimes you just gotta toot. Okay. So, right, what all this has to do with what we've been talking about this week. And past weeks, I suppose. I really think, you know, I hope we can bring our discussion of Shira Chess's Ready Player 2 into our discussion of casual games and maybe even the queer art of playing. Failing. Because, particularly with casual games, I think there's a lot of resonances there. So, one of the things that I think makes sort of the most obvious connection here is that Yoku's Island Express, very much to me anyway, really sort of captures, I guess, the aesthetic of a casual game in a lot of ways. And I think, you know, some of those design elements that that Yule discusses in his chapter are really at play here, right? It's very flexible in terms of the time commitment, in terms of the difficulty, in terms it's a very lighthearted, happy, pleasant, positive fiction. And more than that, it's these little bubbles full of, you know, fruit and stars and whatnot look very much like something that you would find in a casual game, right? But I don't think I would count the Metroidvania game within sort of those flexible boundaries that Yule proposes, right? Because if you leave a Metroidvania for too long, you're just gonna sort of lose all reference for the space that you're trying to get around in, right? You might lose, you know, muscle memory when it comes to attacking or using grappling hooks or whatever to traverse, right? But this gets around a lot of that because there's not a lot of combat. There is a little bit, but it's, you know, sort of abstracted and very much still in line with the pinball mechanics. Sort of like, I just saw somebody said Sonic, so it's a little bit like Sonic Spinball in that case, right? Like there's a couple of bosses, but it's mainly like just flipping and hitting them in the nose or whatever. Right. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. So getting back to that difficulty, right? It's really hard to forget how to play because it's just left and right, and then left and right triggers. There are a couple of, as we'll see, some wrinkles that get thrown into the mechanics pot. I'm mixing metaphors here, but bear with me. But for the most part, it is really simple and basically easy to remember from play session to play session. It's not terribly difficult. Or I should say, oh well, it's not terribly difficult. In some aspects. We'll talk about an aspect that it can get a little bit difficult in. But it's also got a pretty low ceiling for punishment, we'll say, right? If you hit things, basically you lose fruit. And fruit is, of course, important because you're seeing that I'm like unlocking these new paddles that let me get into new places with the fruit. But, you know, there's always fruit to be found. We're not fruit by the foot, we're fruit by the miles in this game. And hopefully I don't get pinged on Twitch for stealing a fruit name. Okay. Charlie says, here we see the example of late-stage capitalism tying our protagonist to the ball and chain of his beach rug, while the systems and bumpers of the world drag him through the overworld against his will. And the threat of trouble by the posterdactyl. You know, I don't hate that reading, but actually, I disagree in a lot of ways. But we'll get into that. I know you're being pretty tongue-in-cheek there, and it's really a pretty funny reading. All right, so, oh, that's too bad. Right, okay, so JD mentions watching drunk people play pinball and how stressful that can be. I'm very bad at pinball, honestly, and this game, in a lot of ways, exemplifies the reasons why I'm bad at pinball, and that's sort of this, you know, I don't know, idea of mechanical precision and, you know, small margins of error for projectiles or whatnot. And it's in this way that, you know, I think the idea of queerly failing that Ruberg ties to games works really well, right? Because, in my estimation, I fail a lot at this game. And sometimes failure is actually quite productive. For instance, you know, I wasn't necessarily trying to hit that right there. That's not where I'm trying to go. I'm trying to go there. But by that accidental sort of move, which is a failure to go where I want to go, I actually found something, you know, worth experiencing. And I think, for one thing, Halberstam and Ruberg both are talking about a pretty large realm of experience that's also pretty narrow, right? It's for a particular subject, for a particular person or persons. But to Ruberg's point, as a straight cisgendered, you know, hetero dude playing this game, it lets me, you know, sort of peer into other ways of being that, you know, in good games, I would argue, sort of let me take that disposition with me into a different arena of existence, like real life, whatever I'm doing in real life. Shuttercat mentions Peggle, and yeah, this game reminds me a lot of Peggle, actually. I almost played both Peggle and this game in the stream, but I kind of didn't want to go back and forth. And the version I play of Peggle from Origin, I think, it's got a really stupid resolution, and it's just a pain. So anyway. All right, I got my Juicy Grove. I've also got the poison. Anyone who eats this will be knocked out cold for a long time. So in my only complete playthrough, I poisoned the eel, and he of course the eel gets ill, and you can get through. But I got to the very end of the game and I was missing like one thing, whatever the collectible is. I just couldn't find that last collectible, and I kind of wonder if it's not given to you by the eel. If he's not so ill. Oh fuck, I've confused myself now. What I mean to say is, I wonder if you get it by not poisoning the eel. I don't know. Darkstar mentions Dark Souls as a good example of playing to fail. And, I don't know. I like that you bring up Dark Souls, because it's certainly a game about failure. But I don't know if it's playing to fail or failing, in order to better play the game. And, to that idea, Ruberg points out that there's sort of two ways to think about. There are two ways that queer failing can appear in a game, and that's, when how does she put it? How did they put it? Sorry. Failing towards the game systems and failing against a game system, and I think something like Dark Souls and Yoku, for that matter, is an example of failing towards the game system, where they would argue that the modes of queer play are built into the game systems themselves. And I don't know if I would attach Dark Souls to that litany of games, although clearly, as Ruberg points out, you can play any game queerly, just like you can read into any piece of media, queer undertones and whatnot. They're always there under the surface. Let's give him the Cove mushroom. We'll be nice. Delicious. You're not a bad start, Beetle. Bad sort. Sorry, I can't read. Okay. So we fed the eel, and now we're moving along. I think another thing that this game does really interestingly is that it presents this sort of story in which, an outsider is coming to an island. There's a big bad thing that's going to happen, and I think most games would sort of position the outsider, the player character, as being, sort of the savior. But this game doesn't quite do that, and instead, Yoku sort of facilitates the cleansing or whatever of the evil. But it's really through sort of this, this community service of basically delivering things to other people, and then they come together and it's sort of the people who live here taking care of their own problems, and Yoku is just, as I said, sort of facilitating it, help to facilitate it. Clevercraft is talking about Burnout Revenge. Right, okay, so yeah, to that same idea, right? Burnout Revenge, which Roberg uses as their big example, sort of how to taking joy, I suppose, in the act of failures. It seemed like getting into crashes as a way of acting within the game system as opposed to out of it. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, right? I think that is an example of failing towards the game systems, and I think they would argue that is an example of a game in which these queer notions of play and of failure sort of built into the game system. And that's not to say that the designers intended for that to happen, right? They might have just been like, let's wreck cars, that's fun and cool. But that it's there for a certain audience looking for it to find and pick up on, right? And experience in their way. Right, JD, that white guy savior, right? Because it's always it's usually white coded anyway, right? Even if not sort of explicitly about the white savior, it's coded that way, as in, the natives, the indigenous peoples can't take care of themselves. A good thing I'm here. I will save you. And that's not quite what this story is, you know. It's very much sort of about being here and doing the duty that sort of is your normal duty, you know. Like they are the postmaster. I think Yoku is pretty ungendered, so I'll try to remember to use they. And they certainly have a pretty big role in helping everything, but it's not like they're lifted, you know, on everyone's shoulders at the end as sort of being the savior. So I think this game has a lot of... I think what makes this game feel so much in line with what Ruberg is talking about in queer... video games have always been queer, and queer failing in particular, is that there is a feeling of sort of this, I don't know, anti-hegemonic force, right? Sorry, now I've messed myself up. Hegemony, yes, hegemony is the idea of, you know, essentially stronger. Maybe I need to get an actual definition of this before I try to work one out in my head. The idea of social forces overpowering other ones, right? Hegemonic force is sort of, you know, the big set of norms, set of beliefs, set of values of the, you know, group in power, the in group. And the idea that basically the idea of hegemony is that those powers are always in opposition to other less powerful ones, right? And it's always sort of this power struggle about how we see the world. For instance, I think the idea of the savior, you know, is largely hegemonic, and I think by sort of resisting that narrative, this game is allowing us to sort of recognize an anti-hegemonic way of seeing, you know, our place in the world, our place in the world of a video game, in this world in particular. Sorry, I know you guys were talking, and I want to make. Scuba Diver talks about failure as a learning process. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think, I think that's probably the best way, outside of, you know, what Ruberg's talking about, to think about failure is simply laying the path to success. You know, words are hard, bro. Yeah, no, they are sometimes. I think Hades is a good example of failing in games. Yeah, no, absolutely. Hades is, I think, a really great example. And maybe sort of all those sort of roguelites. Or is it a roguelike? Maybe it's more like a roguelike. You must constantly die and respawn to progress the story, to get new items and learn how to play the game. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, sort of to that idea of getting through to, and I mean, I think this works in our discussion of, we saw me get hurt, so that's what happens when you fail a little bit, is not much, really. You lose some fruit, and that's about it. Ruberg talks about the experience of queerly playing games, queerly failing in games, as, you know, not only a way, basically, for queer people to enjoy and experience games, but also for, you know, non-queer people, non-queer gendered, cis people, straight people, to have opportunities to, you know, experience different modes of pleasure, different modes of understanding the world, and I think particularly sort of just being able to, you know, I don't even know if it's really peering past sort of the veil of hegemony, but something like that. Hegemony, not hegemony. I'm stupid. All right. So now we're sort of into the game proper, right? We finally got to the main credits, the title credit. Name's Kickback. I'm new to these parts. I figure I owe you for letting me out. Tell you what, I'll block these thorns for you and help you get up to the tower. All right, so she's sort of a an ally. I can get her as a power up. And she'll keep me from dying. Well, she'll keep me from getting hurt. You don't die a whole lot anyway. Right, like that. Ah, right. Another idea that was sort of connected to the one. Sorry, I lost track of my thinking. This idea of peering through sort of the hegemonic, you know, ideas and forces that make up, you know, the sort of common way we see the world as a society. One of the things that I find so interesting about this game, and it's very much related to sort of the other things that I've been talking about, the idea of, you know, the not foreign white savior and playing queerly, is that I feel like this game represents the sort of you know, anti or contra colonialism. I like to call it contra because anti seems to make it seem like a force against colonialism, and I think the prefix contra communicates a sort of opposite of, like not in response to, but a complete opposite of colonialism. And I think this game represents those ideas because of the pinball mechanic, right? The player character here, Yoku, isn't... I mean, I can't jump, right? I'm not able to manipulate the game environment basically to my pleasure, right? To do my bidding, to my ends. Instead, I have to acclimate to the game systems. I basically have to acclimate to the way of the island to get around, you know? And it's either failing to do that or succeeding in doing that. Or both, in a lot of cases. All right. See, I'm failing right now pretty hard because I'm trying to hit that thing right there. There, got it. So now it's a matter of also getting up there. Let's see if I can do that now. And of course... more fruit's always a bonus. Oh my god, come on. I got this. I got this. I forget you can sort of... You can't sort of maneuver Yoku to where you want it to be. Let's see if I can ramp over there. Alright. How did I get over there earlier? There! Sweet Jesus. Yeah, sometimes when you're really when you slow down on the paddles, it'll give you a little bit of a hint at your trajectory, and it's a rainbow, which also sort of, you know, feeds into our reading of Yoku as a queer hero, I think. All right. Yeah, here's the guy that won't let me in unless I'm purple or something. Oh, to the skull gang. That's right. I have to get disguised as a skull, kind of. Not that there's much in there, just fruit and I think like a collectible thing. How are we doing on time? 20 minutes? I'd like to maybe put this game in conversation with Celeste and thinking about, you know, both Yoku and Madeline's failure-filled ascent of a mountain. You know, like they're both sort of conceptually doing the same thing, clearly in very, very different ways. Very different games, but I think, you know, failure plays a significant role in both. Okay, I gotta go get a toolbox so that he'll fix a bridge. Which feels like some of these fetch quests make it feel a little bit more like a Zelda game, I think, or an RPG than it does a Metroidvania, but it still very much sort of works as a Metroidvania to sort of gatekeep a particular area of the map until I go do a thing. Which, I mean, I guess actually that's exactly what those things do in RPGs too, but yeah. A wallet upgrade, fantastic, because there's nothing worse than getting fruit that you can't carry. Alright, a little bit of intrigue. I've already picked up some of those guys, but if I get 10, then what happens? Metroid is literally a giant fetch quest at its core. I mean, yeah. I mean, what game isn't really? But I think, I mean, what sets Metroid apart from something like, you know, what we just saw in this game is that in Metroid, it's not about having NPC sort of explicitly tell you that they need you to go get something and bring it back to them, but instead, like, exploring until you find a thing and then realizing, oh, this is what I needed to open that door from an hour ago. Sorry, let me hit this. You've got the postal badge, then you must be... blah, 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 blah. This is Nim the Translator. It's my duty to guide people to Mokumana Island. I'd shake your hand, but I'm a bit tied up at the moment. Hey, puns. Very good you showed up. Mokuma was attacked by the God Slayer. Mokuma is our lifeblood of the island. I also really like how this very monstrous thing that you might expect to be the main bad guy is actually the thing that you're trying to save. If we lose Mokuma, everything will fall apart. It all falls apart. Everything falls apart. In the attack this morning, Mokuma was branded with the mark of the God Slayer. It all happened so fast, it was just a blur of yellow. The brand pulsates with something wicked, and it appears to be draining the strength. Tree Cthulhu, that's right. Right. I know you haven't had time to get your bearings, but this is urgent. I'm sending you out straight away. Hang on to the postal badge. You'll need it now that you're handling official island business. These letters must be delivered to the 3 chiefs of Mokumana. Making them accept their summons might take some work, but the task is very important. Yada yada yada. You should go to those places. So here, sort of, we're set up with the game's, you know, I sort of want to call it a meta, like a meta task, but I don't want to get confused because we'll talk about metagaming too. But sort of the larger overarching task, right? The 3 places I need to go to sort of, I guess, represent zones in your typical Metroidvania game. But we can see sort of, you know, that idea of oh shit, there is something going on in the island. We really need your help. Go get these people who can really do something instead of, you know, here's a sword. Go whack the thing to death and save us. What are buttons? Lemon the postal parrot. Yeah, just Posterdactyl sort of giving me the runaround. Brilliant. All right. Huh. And now I can shove letters in mailboxes. Yeah, right, Darkstar. Well, Metroid and Castlevania is the idea, is where sort of the well, I mean, not sort of, it is where the term Metroidvania came from. All right, here we go. To the slugs. This is gonna bring us our next mechanic. We'll eventually encounter these slugs that we can vacuum up and use to explode barriers, basically, in our way. Ah, also a little grappling hook that I don't have yet. All right, here are my slugs. Where my slugs at? I think I also like the idea, well, I mean, I don't know, I guess this is sort of in line with failing in most video games, but just that idea of, you know, having to repeatedly do a thing in order to progress. I suppose that really speaks to sort of that idea of failure as a way to get better at a thing, and, you know, it's sort of the path to success instead of being an obstacle to success. I don't know. The Slug Gardener. All right. The bowl is made of salt. I like it. They're all sentient. We just only care about some of them. No, I don't know. It's a good question. It's a good question, and one we don't ask on the island. Maybe it has to do with maybe it has to do with like vertebrates and or bugs with exoskeletons, right? You gotta have some sort of hard part in your body to count. Slugs and worms. I guess spiders don't have exoskeletons either. Ah! I'm glad we got to see this. Here is another interesting aspect of this idea of failure as productive. Every time I fall through these thorns, it counts it, essentially, right? And every so often you get that little update as to how many times you've done it, and it's, you know, it's counting up to something. What that is, who knows? But it sort of goes to that idea of, you know, there's nothing really inherently wrong with failing. It is leading to something. Damn. Did I already get the vacuum cleaner? I can't remember now. Why do you do this to me? Okay, no, I didn't. Good lord. Wait, I'm pretty sure Goofy's a dog. I'm not sure how he got on Goofy, but Goofy's a dog. In fact, his original name was Goofy Dog. I think. But I think it was spelled like D-A-double-G. Dog. Which, sort of relating to our which bugs in this game are sentient and worthy of respect and whatnot, raises the question of which dogs are people and which dogs are pets in the Disney animated world. Is Pluto really just Mickey's slave? Oh my god. So while failure might be still productive, it's still sort of annoying. There we go. Oh, wait. I don't want to go that way. I want to go this way. There we go. Man, how many more are there? Oh, okay, one more. There we go. Shit. There we go. Boom. First try. Okay. I probably need to start thinking about wrapping up this because I could sit and play this game all day. Alright, here's my slug vacuum. Hold the trigger buttons while near a slug to suck it up. I find the ways that the developers are able to sort of layer on mechanics to a pretty simple idea here is pretty interesting. You know, it's just pinball, but then when we have all of these other things, eventually I'll get a grappling hook and whatnot. It really adds layers of complexity, but not to make it so complex that it loses sort of that initial clarity of idea. Shit. Go! Get up there. Alright, so we got to see the exploding slugs in action. I actually seem to recall this particular screen taking me a hot minute, so maybe this is a good time to call it a good stream. Although, I mean, it does sort of, I hope, exemplify that idea of, you know, the failure aspect of this, just it being so, in some ways, difficult to get around to where you want to be. Easy to sort of maneuver, but hard to, difficult to maneuver purposefully, I suppose. And in some ways, you know, that presents opportunities to find new ways of succeeding, ways that you maybe weren't even quite aware of being there. I really love how it's like, you make everything clear and it's like, okay, great, but now I have to still get back up there to go where I want to go. Okay. Yeah, let's call it. Thanks everybody for tuning in and watching Yoku's Island Express. Let's take a short 5-minute break and then come back to meet on Zoom, and let's talk more about Roberg and Jules' piece in conjunction with this and all of the other games that we've been talking about in chat and throughout the week. Okay, yeah, I'll see you in just a moment. Thanks, everybody. Bye.